Hey guys, and welcome to Warforged Talks. I'm Travis.
I'm Joey, and this week we'll be talking about our garrisons and raids so far.
So, to get started, I was just kind of thinking about what garrisons really have to offer right now. And I mean, in your opinion, what do you think the best thing that garrisons offer us right now?
I like the garrison mission so far. It's an easy way to make money. Um, Maybe some items, but besides that, I think it's actually hurting the game a little bit. Um, as far as the herb garden and the mining shaft, um,
Yeah, I can
it's
see that.
it's definitely not helping the economy. You don't make any money off those professions anymore.
hmm
It's kind of useless to have them.
Yeah,
What do you think about it so far?
I mean, I completely agree with you on that. Like, I went to try and sell some ore the other day, and it's selling for like a copper more than you're gonna vendor it for, so it's not even really worth selling it. But I think I can agree with the garrison missions too, but I think that's a point that Blizzard should improve on a little bit more. Like, I was kind of thinking with the garrison followers, you could uh, like kind of touching on invasions, also jumping ahead a little bit. Like, we could see an improvement by you get like three followers or whatever, and you're at your war table, and you send them on a mission, but you control them, sort of like. I guess
Kind
the
of like
best way.
in what's that zone? Let's see real quick. That in Oldham, how you control like the tiger guys to fight off stuff. Do you remember those quest lines?
I don't know if I did that. Oh yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, sort of. It could be like that, but I was kind of thinking similar to like an RPG game, kind of like Final Fantasy, sort of. Like
Okay.
you could, because obviously your followers have moves. Like when you look at them, it says one of them has like Death and Decay, and another one has Taunt or whatever. So like you could control them, and like you got to fight these mobs or whatever, and you just have a little more control and just like add a little mini game
Maybe have
to
like
it.
a couple waves to fight off, and then a mini boss, and that's it for the mission.
Yeah, and then you get like 60 gold or whatever, or an item or whatever they want to give you, but just give you a little more control of it and a little fun mini game.
I can see that. Another thing I've hoped they do at some point is maybe like PvP garrisons. Maybe be able to invade like your friend's garrison for fun or something.
Yeah,
Just as another mini game. See how theirs compares up to yours.
that'd be cool. Or like if it's similar to like I guess it was Guild Wars. I never really played that, but I heard that you could have like open war with other guilds, obviously with the name. And like if they could implement something like that with garrisons, like you've got your group of your guildies and you can somehow go and attack another, like for us we'd attack Alliance, and it'd be like a 5-on-5, and you're attacking one garrison that the other people are defending, and then they can attack yours, and it's just like one garrison that you guys go to the party leader's garrison or something.
Kind of like a mini battleground or something. Just
Yeah.
just for fun. Maybe earn some conquest points off it if you win. But
hmm
you have to have all your guildies on, or five at least.
Yeah, and that could be something that adds to the guild aspect of the game. Like pretty much the only way to get guild gold is through dungeons and raids. Like you hardly have any opportunities through PvP to get anything, so that could be a little incentive for that.
Yeah, I can see that. That'd be pretty cool. Um, do you have anything else you thought about garrisons?
Uh, I mean, it, there's not really much else to talk about besides the buildings, and the buildings don't really play that big of a role. Like the biggest building to have right now, in my opinion, is the barn, because Savage Blood is really the only valuable item in the game right now, it seems like. But other than that, you can pretty much, well, that and the salvage yard. Other than that, players can pretty much just have whatever they want, which is pretty cool that it's not like cookie cutter, you have to have this building to succeed
Hmm.
kind of thing.
You just go
But
with professions or what you want.
mhm. And I like that. I like it to a point that you don't have to have the professions to have the profession building, but at the same time, I'm kind of not liking how Blizzard's taking us away from professions as a aspect of the game.
Yeah, because you could get the like if you started enchanting level 1, you could just buy Draenor enchanting and start doing those enchants right away.
Mhm. I mean, I didn't have a big problem with that, but I just have the problem like I'm an engineer and a skinner, and I've got an enchanting building, and I can get pretty much everything except the major enchants, but like those are so expensive anyways, I'm not gonna pay for them right now.
Yeah, definitely not in the beginning of the expansion.
But other than that, I like the idea of garrisons. I just think they can improve it a little bit more.
Definitely. Yeah, they need to
And
make it more multiplayer mode. It's just really single player right now.
yeah, I heard they're going to be adding new buildings or something to garrisons pretty soon, so that'd be interesting. Add a little more choice, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Alright, so what do you think about Highmaul so far?
I was actually pretty impressed with Highmaul. The first fight, I was kind of let down because, like, I've read a few of the Warcraft books and, like, finding out about how we're gonna get to fight these warlords and stuff. And, like, I read like two or three books and it was about the first invasion and stuff. So I knew a little bit of background about these guys before we came in. And when I found out the first boss is gonna be Kargath, I was a little disappointed. I thought he'd be the end boss, but I mean, other than that, I've been really impressed. Our first time through, it was pretty challenging, and I think we didn't even down Tectis on our first run, did we?
I don't think so. I think we just did Kargas, Butcher, and Brackenspore.
Yeah, and I mean, it's been a nice progression rate, and now that it's it's not to the point where it's just like dragging on either. Like we've got normal mode on farm, and then we're in heroic mode 6 out of 7, and I mean, it doesn't feel like we're just like slugging through it like it's our job.
Hmm.
It kind of like I look forward to doing it.
Especially once we can start doing Mythic mode, and that's when the fights change altogether.
Yeah,
That'd be pretty cool.
and I really like the Brackenspore fight. I mean, I have a little more fun being on the flamethrower and pissing off the healers when I'm burning moss and I'm supposed to be standing in the healing mushroom. But I mean, it's not that big of a deal because I cloak all the damage. But I mean, I thought that was a really cool mechanic having the flamethrowers in that fight. But
What do you think the hardest boss in Highmaul was to you,
I mean,
from your point of view? Not just like how many times you wiped or anything, but as a DPS.
I th- I'm sure a lot of people would say the Imperator was the hardest fight, but I don't really think it's that hard of a fight. You just gotta avoid shit on the ground and kill the ads. Uh, I honestly think the hardest fight, from my point of view, from what I've done, has been it's either Tectis or the twins. Because I mean, the twins, they're not a hard fight at all. Like we downed them on our first or second attempt ever, but I mean, it's tough to see the fire coming sometimes, the way we position it. So obviously I got my cloak, so I don't take a ton of fire damage, but I honestly don't really see any other fight that's that difficult to avoid the damage. Like Tectis, you're always going to be taking damage, especially as a sub rogue where I gotta stand behind the boss and backstab, so I kind of stand off to the side, but sometimes the gas still hits me a little bit and
Hmm.
I gotta shift a little more. But I don't know. I mean, none of the fights really seemed all that difficult for me, DPS wise, but I'd probably say it was Tectis and then Twins. But other than that, what was from your point of view, what was the most challenging boss?
I definitely have to agree with you. Just because I'm melee, you're melee. Um, on like Tectis, especially when you get the 4 ads out on the final phase, there's all those pillars going around the bosses, and then as melee, we have to just constantly watch for getting out of the way of them so we don't get knocked back into gas or anything else.
Yeah.
Um, but besides that, it's all, like you said, just get out of stuff, make sure nothing's touching you or your raid members.
Hmm.
So it's not very difficult. It's mostly, I feel like this raid's been mostly on the healers. Um,
Yeah,
it's a lot of
definitely.
they can keep up or not.
Like they say Butcher is a DPS check fight, but there's so much damage going out in that fight too. Like I think Butcher's more of a heal test than Brackenspore is, and people are saying Brackenspore is a heal test fight.
Yeah,
But
I think Bracken's more of the DPS fight because he has so much more health. And then
mhm,
you have DPS the ads that come out as well. If the DPS don't down those, then it just starts to become chaos.
yeah, and with all those spore shooters, the range really have to be on their game and pay attention to what's going on.
Hmm.
What's, in your opinion, what was the most fun fight in Highmaul?
Most fun, hmm, maybe I'm probably Kargath. Cause I like getting thrown up in the stands. I think it's a cool mechanic if they just made it a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Um, I have fought Mythic Kargath a couple times, and nothing really changed if there's like a couple tigers running around.
Hmm.
But the stands are the exact same, and it's really easy, no matter what.
Yeah. I like Kargath too. I've only gone into the stands a couple times, but I don't really do a ton of AoE damage, so I don't really go up there comparatively to the other DPS. Like
Mm.
I still do a good amount of AoE, but I enjoyed the stands when I did go up there, and I mean I thought that was a really cool mechanic. I didn't even know about it the first time I ran through it because obviously I didn't go up, but I think the only thing I could see them improving with that fight is when he gets ready to knock everybody up or throw them into the stands. I don't like that if you're standing too close to the middle that he knocks you back. I think that should be more of a you need to pay attention to what's going on kind of thing and realize he's going to knock everybody up in the air pretty soon. So you got to get out if you're not supposed to go up.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the knockback mechanic is if you're positioned wrong, you're getting thrown into a tiger pit. You're getting thrown into the flame pillar and taking fire damage.
Yeah,
I think
true.
that's really what it's meant for, but
I
I,
didn't think about it that way.
it never seems like it's pushing you far enough for like the tiger pits and stuff anyway as melee.
Hmm. Does the range get knocked back during that too? I thought you had to be a certain distance.
I think if it would be a certain distance, pretty sure anyway.
That's right. And with Korog, I noticed like he has a little bit of a knockback too if you're standing in the middle, which isn't that big of a deal because it doesn't knock you back as far. But I mean, I'm not going to be one to complain about that knockback because I accidentally stepped in one time and screwed the raid over. But even with that, like I think it it should just be pay a little more attention, and especially if you're melee, because obviously, like we always call it out when the shield's about to drop,
Hmm.
so it's not that big of a deal. But it, I don't think it should have the knockbacks. I think the only time Korok should have the knockback is in LFR, just because LFR is like I'm not a big fan of LFR, but I can understand it's for the super casual players who want to see the end game. But I think that's only
Doing the work.
yeah, or like yeah, they don't have to be that good, and they probably don't have as much time to commit to the game. But that's the only time I think Korok should have a knockback because that's a fight you. It's such a big deal to be in the middle that you should be paying attention all the time to that.
Yeah. Have you tried Impurator on looking for raid yet? Since this is the week it came out.
Not yet, have you?
Yeah. That mode is a complete joke.
Really?
Everyone just stands and stuff. There's mines being blown up left and right, but it's not doing like any damage to the raid.
That's
It's a complete
that's
joke.
that that's a big problem I have with LFR. Like I can understand you dumb it down a little bit, but it should still have the raid damage. Like obviously it doesn't have to be as bad, but it should still be if you hit 2 or 3 mines, you're wiping.
Hmm.
I'm like it shouldn't take away from the mechanics. And that's a big problem I have. Like when we came back at the end of Mists and all we were doing is LFR, like at first I was having fun. I thought it was a cool idea, but once we started getting geared and it was like we are making, or we weren't making, but we were able to make mistakes left and right and not get penalized for it at all. And I don't know, I'm not a big fan of LFR. Like I can understand it for some people's work schedules, but the majority of people who do LFR are just complete idiots that are just using it as a crutch, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely are. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about tonight?
I kind of wanted to take a look at the upcoming raid since it's supposed to come out in February. BlackRock Foundry,
Hmm.
which just like I haven't done any PTR or anything, but just looking at the bosses, it seems like it's gonna be pretty cool because we get to see Gruul, and I never fought Gruul in BC, but I've gone back and done Gruul's lair, and I think that's gonna be a really cool fight. I kind of expect it to be a similar fight to Gruul's lair, but that's just because I haven't seen any footage from the fight yet, and I'm just basing this off my own personal opinion. I think it'd be pretty cool to have a similar fight, but with a few more tweaks to it, since it's obviously not going to be in the same spot. And they're,
Change it up a little bit.
yeah, and uh, the BlackRock orcs are using him as a big weapon, so I think there could be some pretty cool mechanics to that fight. And then I don't really know any of the other bosses except for Blackhand, and again from reading those books, Blackhand, I was really surprised with how they handled Blackhand in this expansion because he was the original war chief in the first invasion, and like I can understand Hellscream being the war chief right now, but I think like Blackhand hasn't had a lot of on-screen time in this expansion, so
Yeah, I think I
I
saw
hope,
like one cinematic with him as I was
yeah,
questing.
in the Grand or not in the Grand Shat,
Hmm.
and like obviously from that cinematic he's a super badass because he did so much, and I don't want to spoil anything, but from the books he's a big badass too, and uh, like I just hope they do him justice in that. Like I don't think they did Kargath too much justice in Highmaul, and obviously Ner'zhul only got a 5-man dungeon, so it'd be nice to see if they could bring Ner'zhul back. Like I don't want to see him all of a sudden come back from the dead like every other boss in WoW's past, but if they could just do a little something more with, I'm sure the Alliance have a huge storyline with him because he's in that area, but I I just don't think they've done a whole lot for the Warlords so far. So I'm hoping Blackhand gets something real cool, and his fight is going to be tough.
I hope it is. So far, all the mechanics have been good. Even in like heroics, they've thrown in some cool little mechanics and fights.
Hmm.
So they should up the stakes a little bit in this new raid. Uh, the new raid definitely, I think, has 3 more bosses than Highmaul. So I
Uh,
wonder. I'm not sure if the map's gonna be bigger, if it's gonna be like the same size, just less trash, It'll be interesting to see how that is.
Yeah, I believe they've got 10 bosses in the upcoming raid, which will be nice because we cleared, what was it we did the other day? We did 7 of 7 normal and 5 of 7 heroic mode in 3.5 hours on
Hmm.
Highmaul. So it'll be nice to have a little bit bigger of a raid to go into.
That would be nice.
And one other thing I was kind of looking forward to with the Blackrock raid, which we're not going to see, is uh, Rend and Maim, who I can't remember which one was in the original Upper Blackrock Spire, but we never saw the other one. So I thought it'd be cool to see those two in Warlords of Draenor. Maybe we'll see them later, but it doesn't seem like we're going to see them yet.
Definitely. One other thing I wanted to say is on the dungeon journal, I'm really surprised they didn't put like a trash loot list for the
Yeah,
raids. I think it'd be pretty nice to see what you can be farming. So when you join the groups, especially when the raid's brand new and you haven't seen all the loot yet, you don't really know how much is actually there for you as an upgrade.
right.
Um,
And I thought, just to add on to that a little bit, with the dungeon journal, it seemed like they were trying to replace Atlas loot, and if they don't have the trash, then it's not really going to be a good replacement for Atlas loot, since Atlas loot has all the trash and stuff too.
yeah, and they should add like Wrath of the Lich King, Burning Crusade, and Classic raids, so people
Mhm.
can see like what gear they want to transmog, or maybe
Yeah,
have like a popular transmog section in it, so you can see where each boss drops it.
yeah, I completely agree with that. Like they've got the dungeons from Burning Crusade and Wrath
Hmm.
and Classic, but they don't have the raids, which is kind of a letdown.
Yeah, what more people are gonna go to anyway are the raids.
Hmm. Like I'm trying to find a good transmog set for my rogue, and I can't look at the raids, so it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
But I think that pretty much wraps up our first edition of Warforged Talks, unless you've got anything else you want to add.
I think that's it for this week.
Alrighty, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this little rant of ours, I guess we could say.
Yep.
And if you guys have any questions that you want us to cover in the next one, leave them in the comments down below. If you want to see more of our videos, go ahead and check out our channel, hit subscribe if you're interested in following us, and hit like if you like this video.
Alright, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys next week.